Welcome to this week's Hot Property Online. My name is Christian Harris, and we're going to talk about lines of credit. And you might say, well, he's always talking about lines of credit and getting access to equity in your home. But just today I had a call from one of my existing clients looking to buy a cottage. This is their first venture into cottage world. They're going to buy for roughly $800,000, and they have substantial down payments, so they just need a small mortgage on there. So we can obviously finance the cottage, put a line of credit behind it. But they did say because this is their first venture into buying a cottage, it didn't check off all the boxes for them. The property was a bit small, so they said possibly down the road we might do some major renovations to the existing structure, and or maybe sell that place, buy raw land, and do construction financing to build their dream cottage. And the problem with that second scenario is raw land is not financeable through a bank, and construction financing is not financeable through a bank. Typically they'll do it at the end when the place is built. So this is another reason why it's always good to get access to equity even if you don't need it today. We've been saying that for a while. So in this scenario, he can buy the cottage, take a small mortgage, $250,000, $300,000, and still have a couple $100,000 line of credit behind him. But his existing property is almost free and clear, very small mortgage. And we discussed throwing on a line of credit on that property for its max because of what he told me. If he ends up saying, you know what, I want to buy some raw land, well, we can't go to the bank with that, so he can pull equity out not only from his cottage but from his principal to buy that outright. Construction financing can be expensive if you're used to bank rates. So it helps if you have access to some of your own money, and maybe you can do half the project with his money and then borrow the last half through construction financing. But again, I can't stress enough that if he hadn't done anything and then 2 years from now came and said he wants to pull out equity because he wants to buy raw land, it might be more difficult. It's not getting easier to get money from the banks. Lines of credit are underwritten extremely tight, even more so than mortgages sometimes. And we're hearing rumblings that they're going to start to cut the loan to value down on lines of credit because the government is concerned about debt loads and doesn't want people having access to the equity in their homes. In this case, it's a good thing to have access to the equity in your home because you're wanting to build your dream cottage, and based on lenders, what banks can do, they're not, like I said, they're not going to give you money for raw land and give you construction financing. So if you have the equity and you qualify for it, now is the time to tap into it. If you don't use it, you're not paying for it. But down the road, it'll always be useful in case something comes up in life. You don't have to ask anyone. Thank you very much.